South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
Good morning, welcome in. It is Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. I'm Jeff Parles. I am staring into the void right now. Alex White, Kenny White, all here. By the way, happy birthday, Ryan McCormick, as well. Ryan McCormick turns 21 today, amazingly. No, I'm kidding, but it seems that way, right, guys?
Well, it is a milestone. I believe he does get to rent a car now. So.
Oh, that's a fun milestone. That is a lot more exciting when it happens, but then you realize, oh, how often am I really renting a car? Happy birthday, Ryan. And Vince, hope you enjoyed your birthday yesterday as well. So shout out to back-to-back birthdays on the crew.
Yeah, a daily double.
Daily double, yeah. Yeah, only if we can.
Vince and Ryan.
You know what? It was a daily double for Alex yesterday. So, right? Yesterday was a good day, wasn't it?
It was a very good day, yeah.
So, more than a daily double yesterday. Let's get into it. We got a lot to get to today. Draft begins tonight in Green Bay. Hockey playoffs, NBA playoffs keep going, but we got to start in baseball just because there's a few games that are about to get underway that we want to make sure we get through before those games get going. Let's start in Minneapolis with what is still the worst series of this midweek, arguably maybe even the second worst. White Sox and Twins. White Sox still bad on the road. They lose yesterday 6-3, so it didn't matter that Festa was almost $3. He wins and they cover the run line as well. Final game of this series, it's Smith, it's Paddock. Chris Paddock's a minus 230 favorite today with a total of 7.5 in this one, Alex, and that total has been banged down overnight because of weather in Minneapolis here today.
Really, nothing I can do in this one, even adding the 25 cents to the White Sox trying to avoid this sweep. It's a lean to Chicago. I'm just not really jumping to play that. I do think that number at 7.5 is correct with the weather, so I really have nothing in this one.
Yeah, cold weather hitting this part of the country. My numbers are right there too. Again, it's fade the White Sox on the road or nothing, and you just got to figure a way how to do it. I tried to put it in a round robin yesterday. It didn't work. Got a rain out and a loss by the Diamondbacks. But again, pizza money. So what? It didn't hurt. Maybe I'm just in fading them. So maybe it's just lay the 1.5 with the Twins. I hate to do that with a home team because I'm only going to get eight at-bats if I win the game, but kind of the only way to really play this game. Maybe the first half, laying a half a run because you're still going to get the 5 at-bats.
Yeah, I like that.
This is just, again, this what the White Sox and the Rockies, who we'll get to in a second, have done to begin this year. It just could be. Again, I don't think the White Sox record of last year's in jeopardy. Maybe Colorado it could be, but boy, if these two bottom teams are as bad as we've seen, even including last year's White Sox, as we've seen in a long while in baseball. And there's been some really bad teams over the last 15 years in Major League Baseball. All right, let's go to Boston next. Crochet and Wu here in this one. No, not a Finley Toyota ad. It's Brian Wu here today. Mariners win 8-5 yesterday. Mariners offense, again, significantly better on the road than it has been at home. We know ballpark factor in the Pacific Northwest is brutal towards hitters. But Crochet's $1.80 at home here today. Rubber match, total of 8 in day baseball in Fenway.
Honestly, arguably one of the best offenses that on the road so far this year with the Mariners. I really want to back Crochet here, but the Mariners have been pretty good against lefties too, and not really to his caliber, but a few really good names in there. So a little bit of a lean that way, maybe first 5 with Crochet being the better pitcher here, but Wu has been pretty good as well. Do we go right back to the over? Got there yesterday. I think it moved up to 10. I went over first 5. And barely got there, 6 in the first 5. But, I mean, with both of these offenses, they are the best offenses that you have on your sheet here. It's just all blue. And I think maybe wait in-game and get a better number. These two starting pitchers start well and then get a better number when the bullpens come in and jump on the over.
Yeah, not the greatest of bullpens. So, maybe it is low scoring early on and then jump in. Crochet is coming off game against those fantastic White Sox, his old team, and he was really up to the task to, shut them down. Wasn't that tough of a deal, but those are type of games you really get up for, and maybe a little bit of a letdown for him. He's been awfully good though, so I'm not going to bet against that. I'll wait. You're right, Alex. Maybe 5th, 6th inning if it's 1-1. Again, I like the shutouts to be broken up. Maybe it's a time to go over 4.5 or something like that late in the game.
This is, again, like we said, these games with the Mariners, again, totally different team away from home, but again, still high-end pitching. Right now, Mariners, amazingly enough, only a game out of first place, even with all the offensive issues they've had early in the season, last night notwithstanding. A lot of these teams in the American League, as we've told you for the last few weeks, everyone other than the White Sox, the Twins, and now Baltimore, really hovering around 500 at the moment. 15-10, still your best record in the AL. The Yankees and the Tigers, currently the 2 best teams in the AL.
Maybe this is your year for the Mariners. I mean, that division has just been so weak with the Astros and the changes that they have made. And the Angels were good for a little bit, but have come back down to earth. And the Rangers still really haven't hit their stride. I don't know. Right now, I'm thinking the Mariners are the best team in that division.
Well, I didn't bet them, so they got a good chance to win. So I had enough on them last year.
Kenny,
that,
you sound like me right now.
I could have bought a small casino. Hey, Jeff, it happens, a lot. You can, if you follow any of my sports, if I pick a loser, for sure that team will win the next day, but I do pick more winners than losers. So I can't complain, but just the size of the bets I had last year on Seattle, I just kept going in on them. Every time I had a chance, I looked, couple hundred. By the time I knew it, I had about 4,000 on Seattle to win it all.
Oh boy.
And a couple $1,000s on them to win the American League. And they had no chance. And this year I'm not betting them. So that's what I'm saying, kind of over bet them last year. So I'm not betting them this year. So yeah, they'll probably make the run.
Mariners, again, a team that has never appeared in the World Series. Forget about even winning it. They've never appeared in the World Series. So there would be some history if they managed to get there and promptly lost to one of those 4 big NL monsters that currently exist.
They did have the best record in baseball.
Well, they have the best record in the history of a regular season.
Oh, they did. They still own that?
They still own it.
One year wonders.
116.
Wow.
Didn't even make the World Series.
116 is the most wins by any major league team.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So nobody's won 120. Well,
no one's gotten to the 120 and 42. We've gotten the 120 losses. We haven't gotten 120 wins.
And there's your
baseball. There's
your trivia for the day, but that is not what the topic is today. It's actually NFL, right?
Oh, I was going to say, if we accidentally hit the trivia question, I will apologize to both Vince and Ryan on that. But no, the trivia question, which will be coming in the bottom line after our first commercial break, is an NFL draft question. And looking at the question, it's one that you should be able to get out there, folks. And you should be able to beat JR today, because it is one that if you're over the age of, if you're over the age of 25, you should remember this moment pretty well. So Ryan McCormick is not quite.
He's a day short.
He's just a day short on that one. Exactly. All right. One last baseball one. We'll hit both of these here real quick, because they're playing a single admission doubleheader in Kansas City. It rained out last night, which is a shame, because I was really looking forward to a Cole Ragans Chase Dollander matchup right out of the gate. Of course, Dollander is the high-level draft pick out of Tennessee. Ragans, of course, or Reagans, I should say. We know how good he's been. But Reagans will go in game one against Marquez here, and that's why it's almost $3 on Kansas City here. Minus 290 on the Royals, total of 8, Alex.
I thought you were just making a joke about the Rockies and the Royals in general yesterday, that you were looking forward to that. I looked up a bunch of strikeout props here, and the one I really wanted to find was Cole Ragans, and that is the only one I did not write down. So if you want to start on the game, but that's the way I'm looking to attack this game, because he is the better pitcher here, and I want to back the Royals. I still don't trust their offense, so I want to look at just the starting pitcher.
Yeah, Kansas City, I just can't make them high enough when you look at a price like that, 250 range on the Royals today. I know Reagans is really good, and Herman, I talked about him yesterday, with all of the injuries he's had the last 3 years, has just been horrendous. First 3 starts, but they keep rolling him out there. They must feel that he's healthy, and they must kind of feel like any second he could turn the corner and be back to where he was in 2022 or 2021. The Rockies do hit lefties far better than they hit righties. Decent weather today. The late game, I think, will even be a little bit better. The wind will be blowing out to left center field in the second game with Dollander and Lorenzen. But I'm going to pass on this one. The price too high, and I'm not going to bet the Rockies on the road. No use betting a bad team here.
So,
go ahead, Alex.
Sorry, they are on to us with the strikeout props here. I'm seeing over 8.5 is minus 127 so far on the year. So the first start against the Guardians was 3, and then he had 10, 11, 10, and 8. So
I was really thinking about, when you mentioned it, like, all right, I'm going to go get like a 12, 11, a 10 plus, an 11 plus. I'll get a really nice price. I'm only getting about 2.25 on 11 plus.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I don't care how bad the Rockies are. It's Major League Baseball still. And 11 strikeouts, you're asking for almost 4 innings worth of strikeouts. Yeah. And I need at least 5 to 1 of them. I'm even going to consider it even on a mismatch like this. And in the second game of the double dip, it is Dollander against Lorenzen, minus 90 on the Royals, and this one in a total of 9. This is a stay off for me, even though I will say again, I want to see how Dollander looks outside of Denver, how he looks. And I know, Kenny, you've said, especially of late, Kansas City has played more to the hitters than it has the pitchers. But I want to see how he looks. It is so hard to pitch in Denver because of everything to do with the elevation. I'm just curious, does he just is there a relief of not having to pitch in Denver today against a Royal lineup? Again, that has been elite at home, but still, Kansas City, as good of a hitter's park as it's been the last year plus, it's not Denver, Colorado, as we know.
Yeah, Colorado hasn't been that bad, though, the last couple of years since the humidor has been put in. It is a better hitter's park. There's no doubt about it, but not that much better. So I don't know. This is such a young guy. He's just ready to, he wants to face big league hitters and get out there. I do want to bring up one thing on that strikeout prop is because I mentioned Colorado hits lefties far better than they hit righties. And let me see here. I wanted to get you that stat. I didn't. I thought I had the right one up here, but I did not. Let's see what I got here for the season. Colorado versus lefties. 10% strikeouts. Is that right? Yep, 28.3. 28.3. Probably one of the highest, even in Major League Baseball. So they do strike out the most against anybody in the big leagues against lefties.
Oh my gosh.
So maybe there is a chance for 11, 12 strikeouts tonight for Reagans.
Over 10.5 plus 268 on this app right here, this account. Is there a way to play these doubleheaders?
It's funny because when I was with Sam Panayonovich, it was amazing. That was, I think, 2019. And we were on Saturday and Sunday, and all Sam kept talking about was the splits. They just, every doubleheader was a split. And I said, that's not really realistic to continue to keep happening, but it did for that year. That it just seemed like that's all he was betting. He'd wait for the first result, and everybody would bet the team that lost game 1 and game 2.
I guess just with the zigzag, and we've been talking about it a lot with NBA and hockey, so I was thinking that same thing.
Yeah, no, that's the way they ran with it. Dollander's really good pitchers, got really good stuff, but again, no experience in the big leagues, and he's been hit pretty hard so far and playing for a bad team. So I like the way Lorenzen has looked lately, but that's an interesting prop to look at, the way the Rockies strike out, and you're up against a guy who really is a good strikeout pitcher. 42 strikeouts so far in 27 innings. Amazing numbers.
Right. We'll do a little pizza money.
We will shift back to the remaining few games in baseball later in the show. There's only 4 more, so not a lot to get to today, but we'll shift back over to the NFL draft real quick before we get into today's NBA and NHL action. Again, the draft underway tonight, Green Bay, Wisconsin. I'm still stunned they're putting this in Green Bay, but that's a different discussion for a different time. That will be totally irrelevant in 72 hours. But here you go, the big thing this morning. So it all has to do, everyone feels pretty confident right now that 1, 2, 3, 4. Cam Ward's going to go 1 to Tennessee. Cleveland is going to stay there and take Travis Hunter at 2. The Giants are going to take the elite pass rusher Abdul Carter at 3. And the Patriots are going to take Will Campbell at 4. That seems to be what consensus tells us right now. Number 5 is where things get really interesting, because the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have sat there, and Matt Hamilton and I discussed this on Monday when we talked about the draft, and he was pro Genti going number 5 to Jacksonville. Again, I don't love taking a running back in the top 5. And again, I love Ashton Genti. Still think he should have won the Heisman, but Jacksonville's more needs. They also don't have a full offensive line right now, which also is a big issue when you're drafting a running back. But right now, on the bottom of your screen, you see DraftKings has the top 5 exacta. Ward, Hunter, Carter, Campbell, Genti is minus 210 right now on DK to be the exact order. Now, I think that's a little bit nuts. I don't think the math's on that right now. Also, too, where we're looking at other books, where right now on FanDuel, the Chicago Bears are a minus 180 favorite to draft Ashton Genti. And Genti, by the way, those are DK odds on the bottom, so minus 135. The Bears have not been favored to draft Genti at all at any point in this run up to the draft until the last few hours. So really, for more than anything, guys, this draft feels like it starts at number 5. If Genti doesn't go 5 and this is just epic smokescreen by Jacksonville.
Hold on, Jeff.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Hold on.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
The Bears are minus 135 right now to draft Genti.
That's a DK. That's a minus 80 at FanDuel right now.
So
the
obviously someone knows there's a trade in order here. Ryan McCormick's a big Bears fan, so I don't know what he knows about this, but that's why books don't like to book this. Right. That's why they don't want to book this draft because of these situations. And there's going to be a lot of trades, I think, in this first round here.
I wish I didn't. I have not seen any onshore books with the amount of trades in the first round. There have been no trades. Everyone has their original pick still. All 32 teams. No one's moved. There's not even a trade from a year ago that has people moving right now. So again, it's a very strange lead up. Genti and Shador are the two names that have really been mentioned a lot. It's been really just, I don't want to call it a slander campaign against Shedeur Sanders, but I can't think of a better word over the last 24 hours where I don't know if the Giants are trying to just get word out and we're trying to find a way to trade back in because they don't want to take him at number 3. I don't know if Pittsburgh is making sure that he slides them. I'm not entirely sure. I will say the Giants sitting at 7-1 to draft Shedeur Sanders feels a little bit juicy at the current moment just because they still need a quarterback in the future. And with all those veterans on the roster, they could let him sit for a year or two before he's ready to play. And being Deion's son, I have no issue, no concern of Shedeur Sanders handling the New York spotlight if he happens to go there. No issue with that. I'm
amazed he's not at the draft. He will not be there. Deion will not be there. Shedeur will not be there. Shiloh will not be there. So they're not going to show up.
Shout out Shiloh Sanders. Really
I don't know why they're not showing up. You hear some interesting things. But the one thing I learned this morning about Genty, didn't know. Really like the guy now. Military kid. Grew up, different military bases, spent his 7th and 8th grade year in Italy. And he worked really hard. He didn't want to give up his football career, so he worked really hard, got back to the States as a freshman in Florida at Naples, and he broke every record there was as a freshman for the varsity team, and then moved to Texas for 3 years. And what happened, basically, no one in Texas knew who he was. He ended up to be a 3-star coming out of high school, and he was probably the best running back in that class. Boise State got him. And Boise State got a bargain. And for him, he could have left last year and got the moon from any SEC school. And he said, you know what? Boise State's the only school that came after me. I'm going to, be dedicated to them because they're the only ones that knew I could play. No one else knew I could. So why should I go somewhere else? So I love that type of attitude. And he wasn't in it for the money. He's in it for the love. And he's, dedicated to who found him first. And that was a really good story.
I'm wondering if that is worth a bet right there with Jacksonville at plus 110. But you would think, right, with the exactas, that might be more because they have money on it.
It's possible. It's more than possible.
So that one might lead more to the right answer of the Bears getting him. But I do like that story. And I was thinking that too. Whoever does get him, I mean, you teams kind of worry about attitude and, how these guys are going to mesh with their team or even, getting in trouble. And he seems like a definite kid that you want to
money can change you. And that it's changed a lot of athletes over the years where, they don't work as hard, but this guy's going to work. He's going to, he's going to do what he needs to do to continue to get better. You just worry. He's a running back, and there's more injuries, I think, at the running back position than any other position in football.
Well, and we've talked about it, too, with the running backs. This is a very deep class.
Yeah.
And, again, as much as I love Ashton Genty, the player, Hampton out of North Carolina, at least translating to the NFL, I don't think is that much different. The Ohio State running backs, who you probably will be able to get in round 2.
Yeah.
Both of those guys, I think, are excellent NFL prospects in Judkins and Henderson. I just don't like in this sort of draft where there are, even if you don't get Will Campbell, Banks out of Texas, Membu out of Missouri, those are 2 top 10 quality offensive linemen. And if you're Jacksonville, and holding on the Bears thing for a second, if you're Jacksonville, in order to win and be able to run the football, you need your line to be good.
Yes.
Their line stinks. And I don't love going with the running back before the offensive lineman. I would either take Mason Graham, who I think is a dominant force in the middle and can change how your defense looks, or the offensive lineman if I'm staying at 5 with Jacksonville. But, and this is why the Bears more likely than not are the favorite, Jacksonville flipping down to 10 makes a whole lot of sense. Now, I don't know how much sense it makes for Chicago to move up to 5 and take the running back when, again, could a running back be the last piece with a roster that seems very complete right now after a prolific offseason and what will be a monstrous upgraded head coach with Ben Johnson from Matt Eberflus sight unseen on Johnson, sure, but be very interesting. Again, there have been no trades to the lead up in this lead up. I'm just curious if this is just all chaos all at once we get past number 4.
This could take a long time tonight because I don't think the trades are going to happen until they start to happen. You know, it's going
to be one and it's an avalanche.
Yes, exactly. So you may get the first 3 picks in, you may get the 4th pick in, and then all of a sudden the Bears trade up, and then everyone else starts to shuffle, and they all have to start trading and start making deals here. But Alex is right. If you're, looking at that top 5 picks, it really feels like it's Ward and Hunter and Carter for sure, and then there's a really good chance Will Campbell will be the 4th guy. So if you think Genty's going to go 5th, doesn't matter which team, you take him at Jacksonville plus 210 or plus 110 in this spot because maybe they don't trade. Maybe they can't come to an agreement. So, but it looks like that's where he's going to go is the 5th spot. If the Bears are going to trade up, they're not going to trade up with the Raiders and hope that he drops to 6. They're going to trade up to number 5.
Well, it'd be a trade up with the Raiders if the pick is not Genty.
Yeah,
but then
right. But that's who.
But
they,
then
looks
if you're
like
the
that's
Raiders
who they
again,
want.
Genty been rumored to the Raiders the whole time. Even though think about it more, the Raiders should, if they hold at 6, take either Membu or Banks. Just take one of the linemen, improve your offensive line.
That's what they need to do,
and go from there. You really need line help if you're the Las Vegas Raiders. All right. We'll keep it. We'll have a discussion tomorrow on a reaction tomorrow morning, Alex and I, on what happens in round 1. Of course, 3-day event in Green Bay, Wisconsin, beginning later today. All right, we're going to take a break. The trivia question is going to come across the bottom. We have 4 hockey games and 3 basketball games and 4 baseball games to break down over the rest of the show right here on Sports by the Book, live as always here at the South Point.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. Or maybe you're in the mood for seafood. Big Sur Oyster Bar has fresh seafood prepared right before your eyes. Savor freshly shucked oysters, crab legs jambalaya, shrimp and lobster. Beers on tap and a selection of fine wines are perfect to pair with your seafood favorite. Whether lunch or dinner, you'll love this fun atmosphere, located just off the casino floor. Ready to shake things up? Step back in time and treat yourself to one of the oldest restaurant chains in the country. Steak and Shake, famous for original mouth-watering steak burgers and hand-dipped milkshakes in a variety of flavors. For some old-fashioned fun, try Steak and Shake.
Welcome back in. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White, Kenny White. We're all here. And Alex, the chat active here on a Thursday morning.
Yeah, a little bit of hockey talk here. Said thanks to the crew. Joey B did take the Avs and the Stars, which I said off air. That was the play. And we talked about it, but didn't put it on our board. So I'm glad that Joey B did take that. Attila said good day, except for the Avs, which I was laughing because it reminded me of Charles Barkley going into the hockey room, if anybody saw that last night or looked for that video. But he was distraught that the Avs lost after having a 4-minute power play going into overtime. And then Joey B did chime in with the chat, talk about Genty being a really good fit for Chicago if they upgrade their O-line. And last little bit about the draft for us. We were talking about Chip Kelly being with the Raiders and why not want to wait, go O-line first and then wait for one of the Ohio State guys.
Yeah, he knows those Ohio State running backs really well, and I'm sure he's already told everyone in the organization that, grab one of those guys in the second round. We'll be just fine. They know my offense, first of all. That's a big key. And the offensive line for the Raiders, bottom 10 in the league right now, so they need help on that O-line.
A couple baseball should all wait on those until we get back to baseball.
Yeah, we'll hit back on baseball, even though I'm waiting on more Joey B odds, but that is not an invitation to start making odds, Joey. Just watch along here today and comment along on these great sports days that we have moving forward. All right, NHL. We start in the Floridian series. Florida destroyed Tampa in game 1. Mr. Tkachuk looked healthy, which is a very good sign for Florida moving forward if he's going to be healthy. A 1-0 series lead, final game 2 of round 1. Everyone else is going to be on game 3 by the end of that one. Minus 20 on the Lightning here. Even money on Florida. Total hasn't moved at all, Alex. Is open 5.5 and has not moved since.
Looking at my total, I do have it a little bit higher here at 6, which is how these two can score. But I do understand with both goalies. That was Vasilevsky's worst game in quite a while. Actually, this entire year, he did not allow more than 5 goals in any start in 2024 and 25. So I do expect a better outing for him. It's really tough to handicap because really diving into the numbers, Tampa Bay is better in every single category than Florida, but that's the regular season. And now that Florida is here for the third time, you can almost see that this team kind of just coasting, right? And knows how to turn it on now in the playoffs. So that does make me a little bit worried. Adding a little bit here for Tampa Bay, kind of a desperation, getting that one win at home before going to Florida. But still, it's a little bit of lean to the Panthers even money.
Yeah, it's a desperation and embarrassment factor, really. Now, the saying is, and it's so true, the series doesn't start till the road team wins a game. And that is the truest statement. And when they do, I love to watch that because, I love unders. And when the road team wins, it really sharpens the series and defense then starts to take over. You start to get lower scoring games. So this one, I think, Tampa's such a high scoring team. And so is Florida, that it's tough to make the total that low. And I bet game 1 under and had no shot, lost it early. I feel like I've got to go back in under in game 2 here because Vasilevsky is going to be ready tonight. He's not letting that happen again. So I think it'll be a very tight, low scoring game.
I will say Florida was very good on the power play, 3 of their goals, and they had 3 chances. And they weren't all year long. And really, Tampa Bay was good PK all year and struggled. So I do think that they will fix that and be ready for that. But the other impressive thing with Florida is if you look at the box scores after, and it's the team that's trailing that has all the hits, right? And kind of desperation throughout that game. But Florida, 48 hits to Tampa Bay's 28, even with that huge lead throughout that whole game. So they're just playing really, really aggressive.
Tampa's plus 210 to win this series now. Almost a full $1.50 move or $1.25 move from pre-series. I think that's worth a shot here. Don't know if you're going to ever get a better number than that, unless, again, if Florida wins tonight, Florida's winning the series. They're not winning both games in Tampa and then blowing the series up 2-0. I would be very surprised if that happened. If Tampa's got to win tonight, this is, I know we talk NBA zigzag. I think this is as pure of an NHL zigzag as you're ever going to see, with the better regular season team getting destroyed at home, with their goalie, who is a reliable postseason goalie, getting destroyed as well. I think this is a good zigzag on Tampa here. Minus 20 seems pretty good here for game 2 for me. All right, let's go to Ontario. Game 3 in Ottawa tonight. Sens trailing the Leafs 2-0. Toronto winning in overtime after blowing a two-goal lead in the third period. But Domi bails them out. Sens minus 30 here tonight in game 3 with a total of 5.5 trying to get on the board here in this series, Alex.
And I think that's the correct number here. If we're adding in a little bit for the Senators and 30 or 35 cents at home to get that first win here, coming back to Ottawa, I think that minus 130 is right. I can't justify laying it or taking it. I have no difference there. And the total 5.5, minus 120, that's right where I am as well. So I really have no plays in this game tonight.
These games are almost just automatic plays. So you almost could just add 50 cents. The home team's lost both games. They're down 2-0. Yeah. Toronto's feeling pretty good about themselves. I don't mind betting Ottawa here because it's such a heated rivalry between these two teams. And the Sens played them really well in game 2. So I would come back on, you had the Senators, you like them, you think they're talented. I would come back on Ottawa here in this one.
Staying off. Now, this is another one where it makes sense to bet the home favorite, down 2-0, desperation. Again, of all the major professional sports, the 3-0 has happened the most often in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But again, it's only happened 4 times in league history. So that's still, even though it's the most often, it's still not very often at all, obviously. It's still better. I'm no mathematician. It's still higher than 1 in baseball and 0 in basketball. I think that's how the math works on that. Yeah, I think the 04 Red Sox might be in the league of their own forever on that. But regardless, I'm with you. I like this. This feels like a good. If you again don't love the idea of the parlay usually, but take 2 short favorites at home. Desperation mode for Tampa and Ottawa. You can find a third one and do a round robin. I think there are worse options than that here today across the board than those two. All right, going to the next game on the hockey board. We go to we go to St. Paul for this one tonight, the XL Center. The Wild, after a dominant showing in game 2, to knot this series at 1-1 in this series. VGK's $1.55 on the road tonight, Alex, with a total of 5.5. You're shaking your head. Is that price too high tonight?
No, it's not, but it's been bet up, right? Where did that open up?
No, that's the wrong opener.
Okay.
That opener was incorrect.
So it opened $1.40. So it is a 15-cent move. So it's nothing. It's not negligible on the move, Alex.
Okay. No, I think that's the right side. I mean, Vegas did not play with enough urgency in that first period against Minnesota. They came out flat, and it was an uphill battle, but they played a really good last 30 minutes, I would say, to almost get back in, even after a 4-goal deficit. So I think Vegas is the right side here. We talked about off air, if you want to talk about too. I'm concerned with Minnesota at home, but I mean, I imagine they would have a good showing, maybe feeling good, 1-1, better than the regular season we'll probably see from Minnesota tonight. So I don't think it's going to be easy, but I do think Vegas is the right side. And Aiden Hill played fantastic in that game. I don't think that was on him in game 2. So I do trust him here.
Yeah, I do too. It's a revenge factor game, and Vegas is definitely the better team. Again, I told you, I watched all of game 1, and I didn't see much difference between either team. Minnesota really hit. They blocked. They had plenty of shots on goal in the game, in game 1. Vegas just happened to, score in the power play, twice, and that was really the game. Minnesota came through in game 2. Vegas has got to step up. They just got to play better. I don't think they played well in game 1. They played horrible in game 2. They have to, the series starts now. The road team won a game. I think you're going to see a much better Vegas team, but it's going to be tough on the road. I may jump back in under here, and I may add, I like Jeff's idea of the round robin. So of Tampa, Auto, I may throw Vegas in there and use those guys in a round robin.
Yeah, might not be a bad idea here tonight. And again, this is a night team that played a horrible first 30 minutes and then really outplayed Minnesota the last 30. Just when you fall in a 4-0 hole, you can't expect to get out of it, especially with Gustafsson, who played. Gustafsson really put that game away early because there were some really good scoring opportunities in that second period where VGK couldn't quite capitalize on. All right, we go to Middle America. Well, we go a little further south in Middle America here. Go to St. Louis. Blues in a 2-0 hole against the number 1 overall seed and President's Trophy winners Winnipeg tonight. Minus 105 at home on St. Louis, minus 115 on the Jets. How about a 5 total here tonight at the South Point? You're laying $1.35 on the over, but it is the first 5 we've seen in the postseason, Alex.
Wow, I wasn't expecting to see that 5 already. I've got it right there, 5 over minus 125, so I guess that is the correct number. But looking at their medians on the year, it is crazy to see that the Blues are 3-3 and Jets 4-3, goals for, goals against on the road. I have nothing in this one. Add in a little bit for the Blues desperation here, and I still don't get quite to this number. I'd still lean to the Jets. I just think they're by far the better team. I did some digging too, and look, because you brought up Montreal, and I was curious about the Blues, and their 12-game win streak, they beat 3 playoff teams in that stretch. I think they played Nashville 3 times. They had Vancouver, they had Chicago. They were pretty fortunate with the teams that they were facing, and I mean, they did what they had to do. They beat the teams on their schedule, but now they're playing a really good hockey team here in Winnipeg, and I just think they're outmatched.
Yeah, really good hockey. One of the best in the NHL. So you're right. I don't have a play in the game. I think the number is just right. I wouldn't even argue Winnipeg a little bit higher favorite in this game than what they are. The total of 5 is perfect. Both the first 2 games, I believe, first 2 went under pretty easy. Well, no, the first one went over 5-3. Yeah. Second one 2-1. 5 is the right number. I couldn't go under 5. It's tough in these games because Jeff mentioned it the other day. It's playoff hockey. You pull the goalie a lot earlier in the playoffs than you do in the regular season. Some of these teams I've seen pull their goalie with 3.5, 4 minutes to go. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a high-end goaltending matchup, as we've talked about throughout this postseason with these two teams. And look, I got to give Winnipeg credit. There's a lot of pressure on you when you win the President's Trophy. We've seen so many teams fail, and look, we've seen better teams than Winnipeg get swept out of round 1 when winning the President's Trophy. But to their credit, it was shaky in that first period and a half in game 1, and then they've clearly been the better team the rest of the series. I know it was only a 1-goal game, but you know what? You're going to have to win those low-scoring baseball score games, those 2-1s, those pitchers' duels, those goalie duels. You're going to have to win those if you're Winnipeg, if you're going to win a cup, and credit to them, and they did that in game 2 at home.
One more hockey bit that I am going to add today is I am going to take Colorado plus 125 to win this series now that the Stars are up 2-1, and they have led a whole 68 seconds.
And Dallas, credit to Dallas for winning last night in overtime, and also, too, real quick, on the NHL side of things, the Kings only averaging 6 goals a game so far in the postseason. It's been a brutal playoffs for Skinner, and that has always been the concern with Edmonton. And Skinner has been beyond terrible through 2 games. And even with returning home, that is a tough sell on Edmonton with that type of goaltending. And then your empty netter got home yesterday on the Capitals.
By 1 second?
By 1 second. It got home,
close,
though. That's
yeah.
all that mattered. And the Caps win 3-1 and have a 2-0 lead on Montreal. I actually kind of feel bad for the Canadians. I think they played pretty darn well in this series. The Caps have just been too much in the end through 2 games.
Yeah.
Game 3 tomorrow night in Montreal.
Have they scored first?
No, they scored first last night, but not in game 1. That was 2-0 Washington, and then the comeback in the third.
That's right.
All right, let's go to the NBA here tonight. We'll start going out of rotation number order. Sorry, guys, but we're going to start in New York real quick. We'll go in time.
One more.
You have one more hockey game?
Well, did you want to add your over? Do you like
which
that
one?
For going back to Edmonton?
Yeah, that's where we expected the high-scoring games to be in Edmonton because the ice is so much faster, better ice, and it's true over the years that does happen. So if they're scoring this many goals in LA, how many goals are going to be scored in Edmonton?
There's plenty of 6s available that are flat out there if you want it for game number 3.
Well, and I'm thinking it might move up to 6.5. So wanted to bring that up now. But especially, I mean, you're right, Jeff. It's been a rough start for Skinner, and we saw him, last year really help them go on a run, but I don't think we're seeing that again. He's dealt with a lot of injuries, concussions, and stuff too, so it's a tough spot.
Going to the NBA, we'll start with the Knicks and the Pistons. Series tied at 1. Pistons, of course, handled their business in game 2. And, credit Detroit. They very easily could be up 2-0 in this series, and this could be a whole different ball of wax right now than what it is right now. Knicks only 1.5 on the road in Motown at Little Caesars Arena. The Pistons also plus 180 to win this series. I've liked what I've seen from Detroit. I've really not liked what I've seen from the Knicks. I like the Pistons here tonight. I like Detroit getting, I think I'd rather take the 1.5 than take the plus 105. I think it's close. Maybe see if we can get the 2 by tip and then take a full 2 instead. Makes a little more sense. But I like Detroit tonight to win game 3, and then we could have some fun there and take a better price on the Knicks, who I still think end up winning this series, despite the fact that the Pistons have been the better team for the majority of the first 2 games in this series.
I think I'm just going to stay away from game 3 and look at game 4 and come back with whoever loses this one. But this is really tough to handicap if you really dive into the first 2 games between these two. I mean, the first one was really fast, 100 possessions, and then game 2 slowed down to a crawl, 92.3 possessions in that one. A ton more free throws in the second one, so combined 37 in the first one to 53. It really seemed like Detroit was just, attacking the basket and trying to be rewarded with that, and they were. So kind of want to see what we get from both of them today, and this feels like a perfect zigzag series. So I'm going to wait for game 4.
Yeah, I am too. I think the number's right. I have to give 2.5 points for the Knicks losing at home, and I thought that's about what they should be, about a 2.5 point favorite here. My total 216.5. I think is right again. Looking at the first 2 games, you get a 230 game and then a 194 game. It's, where are they at? It's got to be somewhere in the middle of that. So that's right around 214. That's where the total's set. So we'll see what happens here. The Knicks are the slower team. It almost, if you didn't know that, it would look like the Pistons tried to slow game 2 down, and it was successful for them, but the Knicks are the slower team. So I don't know if that's the case or not. If that was the case, this is probably an under game as well.
Wouldn't shock me if this is an under game here again. Game 3 in Detroit, early game tonight, 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern for this one. Game 2, Memphis and Oklahoma City. This series has been completely non-competitive. This is a complete mismatch. The Thunder are 9.5 on the road, which is going to be the shortest number we see in this series, period, just because of the Memphis down 0-2, maybe you'll get a real effort. I don't see it. I just think this is such an epically large mismatch and a talent gap that even on the road, I think Oklahoma City wins by double digits for the 3rd consecutive game. Would only be a look to the Thunder here, with a total of 228.5 tonight. If you watch both games, the Thunder won by a combined 70 points. Is that good, Kenny?
Yeah, it sounds good to me. An average of winning by 35 a game. These situations, I'm always looking for the gentleman's sweep that Oklahoma City is flat tonight in this game and Memphis is embarrassed. They've got a good team. They do have some really good players. I love their lineup. Jackson and Bain and Moran are really solid NBA players, and they've got a couple of nice pieces around them. I'm going to hopefully take 10. If I see 10, I'll take 10 with Memphis and, watch a movie instead of watching the game.
That's why I was waiting for you to kind of chime in, because I know that you don't like when the whole world is already convinced that it's over and it's a sweep. And but it is a mismatch. I mean, if you look at the second game, Oklahoma City won 2-point shooting percentage, free throws, rebounds, turnovers, all these things. But embarrassment factor, going back home, maybe they're a little more comfortable here. I would try and make a case and lean to taking the points, and the Grizzlies at least keeping this one close.
Yeah, I know a couple of sports bettors that I always say you have to have power ratings to win at this sport, and any sport. You really have to, because you want to have a process and you want to stick to it. You don't want to let your emotions get involved. But I do know a couple of really good bettors that's all they bet, and they bet against the world. They're contrarians, and they feel like in certain situations, Tom Brady trailing at halftime, the whole world's going to bet Tom Brady. In this situation, what you saw last, the Thunder winning by an average of 35 points again in the first 2 games. I think most people, the ticket count is going to be a huge discrepancy today at the sportsbook at South Point. It's got to be 80-20 tickets all the parlays added up, it's going to be all Thunder. So there's going to be people that, like those guys I talk about, they're going to just take Memphis for that principle. And I'm going to do the same thing, but my numbers say I should, because I'm giving Memphis 5 points for losing the first 2 games and being embarrassed. So I'm not betting any extra on it. It's a 1% play again. I try to tell people that, don't over bet. It's just a small bet.
Going to the last game of the night, and this has been the best series by margin so far. Series tied at 1. Clippers and Nuggets, first game ever for the postseason at Intuit Dome in Englewood. Clippers are 5 in this game after winning game 2. Minus 180 on the Clippers in the series price, by the way, and now they're minus 210 on the money line. I don't know what to do here. Again, I feel like the Clippers should be up 2-0. They really outplayed Denver in game 1 and found a way to lose in overtime. I got to steer clear. I just hopefully we'll be able to watch this game. Thanks for putting this on NBA TV tonight, guys. But I like the Clippers before this series, and there's no reason for me to back off of that. And I think the Clippers are the team in the Western Conference that actually gives Oklahoma City the most intriguing fight. I don't think they would beat them in a 7-game series, but it would be an intriguing 7-game series that could go long, Alex.
My only concern is Kawhi Leonard looked really good in that, kind of had to step up and really carry the team, and they still only won by how many?
1 by 2, 1 by 3.
It was still very, very close, and I know the Nuggets owned them on the glass 50-32, so what are you giving the Nuggets here? Is this a home revenge where now they lost on home court or going back to LA? Yeah. We can give them a little bit?
Yeah. I'm playing the Nuggets. I mean, you got Jokic as the best player in basketball. Gordon is solid. Murray's still a really good player. I like Brown. Porter's the worst player in the starting lineup, production-wise, and he doesn't play a lot because he's that bad. Westbrook will play, more than he does, and it'll be a little bit of a, Westbrook will be ready to go play in LA against his old team. He won game 1 with a defensive stop. You're giving me 5 with Jokic, the best player in the game. He's going to have to put up a monster number here, but I think he can do it.
It's a lot of points to be getting. A lot of points to be getting in this game. I'm very intrigued to see just, again, this series has the makings of a 6 or a 7-game series. No doubt about it. But I'm just curious to see, again, after 2 very tight games, do we get a third one here tonight? Both games have been 1-possession games, so taking 5 in a 1-possession game, you're in there with ease at the end. All right, we pivot back to baseball now. We only have 4 games left on the card. We already talked about every other one. By the way, White Sox won, Twins nothing in the second inning.
In-game wagering.
Actually,
Twins a bargain deal right now.
Actually, I'm curious. What are the Twins?
Shane Smith has pitched well for this team this year, so
minus 30 on the Twins. So you are getting a bargain price right now on Minnesota, trailing 1-0 in the top of the 3rd inning right now. All right, let's go to Sacramento first. The battle of the men with first names that begin with J. Jacob DeGrom, JT Ginn, your pitching matchup here tonight in West Sacramento. It's $1.40 now on the Rangers plus 25 on the A's. Total 8.5 in this one, Alex. I
think we're okay. You brought it up yesterday, and I was ready to see what the number was. I think we're okay going under in that first half here, even though it is at this ballpark. But I like what we've seen from JT Ginn. He is a strikeout guy, so I think he'll be able to get some out here. We don't have Corey Seager in the lineup for the Rangers. That definitely helps with an under here, and we got DeGrom on the other side. So 4.5 is the number, I believe, and I'm going under that first 5.
Yeah, I don't mind it either. Again, I still think this is it's a pitcher's park. I've seen it. I've got thousands of games played there, and it's one of the best minor league pitchers' parks in baseball. Weather will not be good for unders, though. Looking at the start time, 7:05 tonight. That was my papers I hit. Sorry about that. If that rattled your ears. 63 degrees, south winds 12 miles an hour, south-southwest. So the wind will be straight out to center. That's, kind of I had a couple runs for that. I don't know. I said this would be the under spot because I like this pitching matchup. This might be a game I wait for and maybe bet this over after a slow start. I'm not going to bet it under. I can't bet against wind blowing straight out to center field.
Well, I'm glad that you told me as well.
Yeah.
Take that off.
The only benefit is it doesn't look like it's going to be cool. It doesn't look like it's going to be high 50s. So, Kenny, obviously, like a 20. If we were in the 80s, it would be the total would be much higher. If we were in the 80s,
oh, no doubt about it.
Probably maybe a run and a half, 2 runs higher if this was 20 degrees warmer tonight in Sacramento. All right, let's go to D.C. Mackenzie Gore and Cole Povich, your pitching matchup here tonight between the O's and the Nats. And the Orioles they just cannot get out of their own way. They lose the first 2 games of this series. They lose yesterday 4-3. Now Gore, who's been, again, the Nats have had 2 lefties. Mitchell Parker, we talked about earlier in the week. Mackenzie Gore have both been great to begin this season for Washington. Gore's the rightful favorite here tonight at a -115. This is a big pitching advantage for the Nats here tonight at home.
I think that is the right price there, but then adding in a little bit to the Orioles to try and avoid the sweep here. I would like to go under first 5 in this one.
You got a 4.5 again, Alex.
Easy, yeah.
Okay, I like that. I'm still pretty convinced that the Orioles cannot hit lefties. I'm wondering what your numbers say right there, but I went over their OPS and their batting average the other day against the lefties, and they continue to struggle. Really, just offensively, they are struggling right now, though. So, and I think with Cade Povich on the other side, they'll be able to slow the Nats down as well.
I have a pretty high rating on them, first left-handed pitching, so I want to see what they've done so far this year. 8th in WAR versus lefties, 461 slugging. I think it looks like a pretty decent lineup versus left-handers. So 5th in baseball right now in weighted runs created against left-handed pitching. So they do hit lefties. I've expected more out of Povich than what we've seen. I'm really surprised that he's gotten off to a slow start, but that doesn't surprise me. I talked about it when the season started. They call it midseason form for a reason. It takes a while to get into midseason form, and none of these guys are there yet. There's going to be some inconsistency. There's going to be some ups and downs. It's hard to bet against a guy like Mackenzie Gore, though. So I'm going to wait and hope the Orioles fall behind 2-0, 3-0 maybe, and maybe they get to the bullpen because this bullpen for the Nationals is not very good. So this could be a spot you could take a big price with the Orioles trying to avoid a sweep late in the game. You may not get there. You may get there. Who knows? But I think that's kind of the only thing I could do is wait and see because Gore has just been too good. I don't want to bet against him.
One last one. We go to Arizona. Or excuse me, hold on. I can't forget the Angels. I apologize. Can't forget the Angels. We have 2 more. We go to Anaheim first. It's Anderson and Walensky for Pittsburgh here. Angels are -155 favorite in this one. The total is 9. And the Angels, they look coming back to earth here these first 2 games, losing the first 2 to this Pittsburgh team who came in playing some pretty poor baseball going into this series, Alex.
And I said Angels team total under yesterday, and I did not bet it. It would have been a
rocking chair.
Yes, it would have been. I like the Angels today, though, -155, trying to avoid the sweep here. I think they definitely have the pitching advantage, especially what we have seen from Tyler Anderson so far this year. So -155, I might have to add that in my round robin with some of my hockey favorites. That'll probably be my plays today. That was my favorite baseball of the day.
Yeah, I like that too. Andrew Heaney was really good last night. It was a win for me. I did pick up 1% there, and I'm going to probably come back with the Angels too. I like avoiding the sweep. Angels do hit righties better than they hit lefties, and Tyler Anderson's been good to start the season. So hopefully he can stay consistent, and I think it's a fairly cheap price for the Angels here.
Last one on the board. I got super excited about going to this. Corbin Burns and the Arizona Diamondbacks against Drew Rasmussen and the Tampa Bay Rays. $1.30 on Burns, +115 on the take back for Tampa here tonight. with a total of 8. Rays finally got their first road win yesterday. 7-6 was the final for that one. Burns has not looked like himself so far to begin this year, Alex.
No, it really has been a little bit of a struggle for him, but I do think we'll start to see him turn around. On the other side, Drew Rosman's been very good for the Rays. I still think that this is a pretty cheap price for the Diamondbacks, -130 at home, coming off that loss. Now, this game was going on pretty late last night. I guess it is a long turnover before they start this one, but it's a lean to the Diamondbacks here at -130.
Yeah, I don't mind that whatsoever. I think the Diamondbacks are the better team. Now the roof will be open. That helps the hitters. So I'm going to adjust my total, which I put my total at today at 8.5 with it closed. So I make it 10 with it open. I'm going to go over 8. Jeff mentioned Burns just hasn't been the guy we thought he was going to be, a Cy Young Award winner, and he may be till in a month or so he's going to be much better. He did pitch a lot better in his last outing against the Cubs, who have a great offensive team. And Rasmussen's pitched really well, but he's due for a bad game. He's a really good pitcher too. I do like him a lot, but he's just pitched so well. I think the Diamondbacks bounce back here with a win, and I think this game goes over the total.
D-backs and over the look here tonight. I'm with the guys on Arizona as well. This just feels like for Corbin Burns, at least one reasonable start appears at some point here in the month of April. So it would be a look to Arizona at the -130 price as well.
Yeah, his best start was his first.
Yeah, hasn't pitched well since then. Yeah. And that was kind of ironic. It came at Yankee Stadium of all places. But granted, it was frozen cold. Freezing cold for those games at Yankee Stadium earlier in the year. All right. We'll take a break. When we get back, trivia answer, whiteboards, and a bon voyage on a Thursday right here on Sports by the Book.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
welcome back in. It's Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. I'm Jeff Parles, Alex White, Kenny White. They are getting the whiteboards ready to go here in a moment. But before we get those, trivia question today. I thought this was a pretty easy one. Which quarterback from Ole Miss was the first pick in the NFL draft on this date in 2004? Kenny?
No idea.
Eli Manning. Eli Manning, of course, drafted by the Chargers, traded to the Giants a few hours later, and then him and Phillip Rivers were linked forever. JR got it. Everyone else in the chat, you should have been able to get it quicker than JR. I apologize. Not apologizing, though.
No.
All right. Whiteboard time. Whiteboard time, and we can, Ryan, we can roll it. And today, we begin with Alex White.
All right, I'll start it off. I know we have a lot of similarities today, but I'm just going with that round robin here with some of the favorites that we like, starting with the Angels, minus 152. Avoid the sweep against the Pirates. And then I've got 3 hockey favorites I really like. We're going Tampa Bay, minus 120. Ottawa, minus 127. And then we've got the Vegas Golden Knights, minus 155 is the best number out there.
NBA, I'm playing 2 dogs here tonight. Memphis plus the 10, Nuggets plus 5 against the Clippers. And then the NHL, I think the Senators are the best play on the board for the NHL tonight, minus $1.15. Major League Baseball, 2 plays, 2 overs from me here. Tampa and Arizona over 8 because that dome is open. The ball carries much better when it's open. We saw last night 13 runs scored, took extra innings, but they did get 13 there. And Cole Reagans tonight, over 8.5 strikeouts against this Rocky lineup. Actually, it's a day game starting pretty soon.
I love that one.
Get it going. That's starting right now, that 8.5 strikeouts on Cole Reagans today. There's Alex's board on the right, Kenny's board on the left of your screen. All right, that's what we got for you here on a Thursday. Alex and I are back tomorrow. We'll have a reaction to round 1 of the NFL draft to get you ready for a Friday across the board in the Stanley Cup playoffs, the NBA playoffs, and the final Friday of April for Major League Baseball. How about that? Almost at the end of the month of April already. Shout out to the crew as always. Vince, Sean, Drew Dog. Happy birthday to Ryan, Ann, and Jerry, who are getting you ready for Gone Racing coming your way later today, 12:30 today. It'll be recorded. Okay, it will be recorded today, so it will be recorded. It will be up on the Gone Racing page as soon as it is ready later today. So be on the lookout for that. Getting you ready for this weekend in NASCAR with Jeff Motley and Brendan Gaughan. Alex, Kenny, get some winners.
Yep. Have a good weekend, you guys. I will be back
Kenny,
Tuesday.
we'll see you again on Tuesday next week. I'm Jeff Parles. We'll see you tomorrow. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.